Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and good afternoon to each and everyone. I'm Zahara Salazar Piang together with Miss Trisha May Ponce, and for today's video, we are going to discuss about the early childhood preschoolers physical development. So the objective of this topic, at the end of this video, you should be able to describe preschooler children physical growth, identify the different growth and fine motor skills, draw implication of this concept on physical development on teaching preschoolers. So before we start, I would like to discuss first this preschoolers. So the preschooler's years is commonly known as the year before formal schooling begins. It roughly covers 3 to 5 years of age, although it is known as the years before formal school. It is by no way less important than the grade school years. The preschooler years is very important as it lays foundation to later development. At this stage, preschoolers achieve many development milestones. As such, pre-service teachers who might be interested to teach and care for preschoolers need to be knowledgeable about them to be truly unintentional and effective teachers. So, this video on the physical development of preschoolers focuses on the acquisition of gross and fine motor skills, artistic expression, proper nutrition and sleep, and what teachers and caregivers should do to maximize the preschoolers' development. So, before we proceed to the main topic, let's examine these pictures. Think about the physical characteristic of preschoolers. So, in the first and second pictures, we can see that they are sliding happily in a playground. So, this is where a preschoolers start developing their basic life skills by socializing to other children. So, in the fourth picture shows about the two children that's swinging. They are playing on a swing. And that swing that they use is like in the 1980s or 1990s. Kasi gumagamit sila nung rubber, yung tire na pang swing. So, these two children start developing being independent. Let's proceed to the fifth and sixth. So in the fifth and sixth pictures, we can see that the children or the preschoolers are having a activity in school. The children start building the characteristic of being independent, gaining and developing their knowledge about their surrounding. So in the 7 and 8 pictures, the children here are having fun in the outside taking pictures in that statue character. Like they are discovering and gaining knowledge. Like they are discovering and gaining knowledge about something that they are trying to develop their skills like a adult, exploring and asking about the things around them even more. So, in the 9 and 10 pictures, we can see that the children here is like they are buying in a canteen because of the the boundaries that we can see. Kasi 'di ba, mga ganyan yung nasa school canteen, naglalagay sila ng boundaries na ganyan. And the children's holding a biscuit or something. So the children are having interaction with adults and those people around them that can help to shape their personality and their own ways of thinking and moving. So the last one, the 11th and 12th. So the last two pictures shows two pair of childrens like going to school or going back to their home since they have their backpack. Like what we are doing before, whether we are going to school or we are going home. Kasi 'di ba pag umuwi tayo nung elementary pa tayo, marami tayong dinadaanan, lalo na pag nagku-curious tayo kung ano 'yun. So tinitignan talaga natin mapapunta pa man tayo sa school or pauwi na. So um everyone, everything, every time that we can see something that catch our attention, we are always having a stop to look to see about that because of our curiosity that can make our knowledge more wide about that something. So from that activity, we were able to see a glimpse of preschoolers' physical development. They love to move, they enjoy being active, they are also interested to work with their fingers, like with blocks. They have more balance since the toddlers. They have more balance stunt than toddlers. So, here's some big ideas about the physical development of preschoolers. So, number one, there are significant changes in physical growth of preschoolers. The preschooler years are a time of what seems like constant movement. Preschoolers are busy moving in their environment, both indoors and outdoors. They spend large amount of time running, climbing, jumping, and chasing each other. They also scribble, paint, build, pour cut with scissors, put puzzles together, and string beads. So their motor skills are significantly refined from the time they were toddler. There are more they are more coordinate than toddlers and more purposeful in their actions. They demonstrate speed and strength, and they become increasingly more independent. So the physical growth and appearance of preschoolers during the preschool years, there is a steady increase in children's height, weight, and muscle tone. Compared with toddlers, preschoolers are longer and leaner. Their legs and trunks continue to grow, and their heads are not so large in proportion to their bodies. So now let's proceed to the number two. Number two, the preschoolers' physical development is marked by the acquisition of gross and fine motor skills. So, as a preschoolers, their bodies develop over time. The areas in their brains that control movement continue to mature, thus enabling them to perform gross motor skills such as running, jumping, throwing, climbing, kicking, skipping, and fine motor skills, stringing beads, drawing, and cutting with scissors. So, early childhood development includes acquiring fine and gross motor skills. While both these skills involve movement, they still have a differences. And that differences is the gross and fine motor skills. But I'll discuss this later on. So now, let's proceed to the third one. Preschoolers can express themselves artistically at a very early age. Which means there is nothing more important to childhood development than self-expression. So, as a child must be able to express what he or she wants and how he or she feels with freedoms and safety. Children that do not grow up in an environment of respect, love, and compassion find difficulty opening up to others as they grow up and often experience many different mental and emotional pitfalls. It's no secret that allowing your child to express his or her feelings, emotion, thoughts, and creativity in a safe environment is one of the most beneficial to raising a child. So, preschoolers can express themselves artistically. Artistic uh, expression is one of the best way that kids express themselves is through artistics, which means painting, finger painting, drawing, sketching, coloring, writing, all have been proven to provide a solid outlet for many of the strong emotions that children dealt with. And many psychologists and therapists find stunning information about the child within the drawing or artwork of that child, making creativity is one of the most enlightening and thought-provoking experiences for a child's life. So, allowing a child to paint or draw with freedom and without boundaries is a child component to childhood development. Why? Because it opens the mind and frees the spirit. Within a few moments of coloring or drawing seemingly unrelated objects or shapes on a page. So a child can form thoughts and ideas that may be surprising to the parents. So this process is incredibly important in the development of communication skills, emotional skills, and psychological awareness. So what is artistic expression? Artistic expression promotes self-expression, creativity, and confidence, which in turn allows that artists to gain access to their subconscious mind. So now let's proceed to the fourth one. The proper nutrition and the right amount of sleep are very important for the preschoolers. So these powerful statements underscore the key point um, that investment in early childhood nutrition has far-reaching effect on early childhood nutrition protects health, boost economic productivity, and save lives. Such a perspective brings an appropriate change of urgency to understanding and supporting the young child's nutritional needs. So, optimal nutrition is early childhood not only supports growth and development to child's full potential, but it also initiate and reinforce healthy eating habits that contribute to overall health and well-being, and that may extend into later childhood and beyond. Sleep is the time sleep is the time for restoration and for children's bodies to recharge and retain the information they have learned throughout the day. So during sleep, the body's energy is restored, growth and repairs occurred, and important brain development hormones are released. According to this research, studies studies have been shown that kids who regularly get an adequate amount of sleeps have improved attention, behavior, memory, and overall mental health. So, having a proper nutrition and right amount of sleep helps the preschoolers to achieve the growth and development of child's full potential. So, let's move on to the number 5. Number 5, caregivers and teachers can do a lot in maximizing the growth and development of preschoolers. So, number 1, uh, I mean, the number 5, caregivers and teachers can do in maximizing the growth and development of preschoolers by making sure the children's health and safety, equip them with the skills and resource to to succeed as adults and transmit basic cultural values to them. So, caregivers and teachers offer the children's love, acceptance, appreciation, encouragement, and guidance. They provide the most intimate context for the nurturing and protection of children as they develop their personalities and identities, and also as they make physical and cognitive, emotional, and socially. So the last one is number 6. Preschoolers with special needs. Uh, preschoolers with special needs in inclusive classrooms can thrive well with the appropriate adaptation made in the classroom materials and activities. So, as a teacher, you know how important it is to plan teaching strategies and activities that match young children's development needs and characteristics. So, children with learning disabilities, speech or language disorder, learning or visual impairment, physical disability, autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or any other types of impairment that may need special accommodation or modification in the classroom. So one of the best ways you can support the children, or teacher or the caregiver can support the children with special needs, is by changing the classroom environment to increase children's participation in activities. And in addition to written words, think about using pictures or even textures as adaptation for children with special needs. So now let's move on to the significant changes in physical growth. So physical growth increases in the preschool year, although it is much slower in pace than in infancy and toddlerhood. So at around 3 years of age, preschoolers move from the remaining baby-like features of the toddler toward a more slender appearance of a child. The trunk, arm, and legs become longer. And the center of gravity refers to the point at which body weight is evenly distributed. Toddlers have their center of gravity at a high level, about the chest level. This is why they have difficulty doing sudden movement without falling down. Preschoolers, on the other hand, have their center of gravity at a lower level, uh, right above near the belly button. So this gives them more ability to be stable and balanced than the toddler. The preschoolers move from the unsteady stance of toddlers to a more steady bearing. They are no longer toddle. It says toddle. That wobbly way the toddlers walk. This is also allowed the preschoolers to move more successfully than toddler. Some say that the later part of the preschooler's years, at the around 5 or 6, is the best time to begin learning skills that require balance, like riding a bike or skating. So by the time the child reaches 3 years of age, all primary or deciduous, or what are also called baby or milk teeth, are already in place. The permanent teeth, which will begin to come out by the age of 6, are also developing. So the preschooler's years are therefore a time to instill habit of good dental hygiene. Now let's proceed to the gross and fine motor development. So, gross motor development refers to acquiring skills that involve the large muscles. There are 3 categories of gross motors, and these are the following. First is locomotor. Locomotor skills are those that involve going from one place to another. For example, the walking, running, climbing, skipping, hopping, clipping, galloping, and dodging. The second one is non-locomotor. Non-locomotor are those where the child stays in place. The example of this is the examples of these are bending, stretching, turning, and swaying. And the last categories is manipulative skills. Manipulative skills are those that involve projecting and receiving objects, like throwing, striking, bouncing, catching, and dribbling. So, preschoolers are generally physically active. Level of activity is highest around 3 and become a little less as the preschoolers get older. Preschoolers should be provided with a variety of appropriate activities which will allow them to use their large muscle. Regular physical activity helps preschoolers to build and maintain their healthy bones, muscles, and joints, control their weight, and build lean muscles, prevent or delay hypertension, reduce feelings of depression and anxiety, and increase capacity of learning. Now, let's proceed to fine motor development. Fine motor development refers to acquiring the ability to use the smaller muscle in the arm, hands, and fingers purposefully. So, some of the skills included here are picking, squeezing, pounding, and opening things, holding and using a writing implement. It also involved self-help skills like using the spoon and fork when eating, buttoning, zipping, combing, and brushing. There are different environment provides different experiences with fine motor skills. For example, the availability of information and communication technology in largely urban areas makes younger and younger children proficient in keyboard and manipulation of the mouse and the use of smartphone and tablets. While other children use their fine motor skills in digging in soil, making toys out of sticks, cans, bottle cap, bottle caps. Still others enjoy clay, play-doh, and finger paint. So by the end of preschoolers years, most children manage to hold a pencil with their thumb and fingers, draw pictures, write letters, use scissors, do stringing, and threading activities. They can also do self-help skills like eating, dressing up independently. Significant process in the fine motor skills can be expected of preschoolers, especially if they are aptly supported and appropriate activities are provided for them. So, handedness or the preference of the use of one hand over the other is usually established around 4 years of age. Earlier than this, preschoolers can be observed to do tasks using their hands interchangeably. We can observe the preschoolers shifting the crayon from left to right and again while working on the coloring activities. Now let's proceed to preschoolers' artistic development. So at the heart of the preschool years is their interest to draw and make other forms of artistic expression. This from the fine motor activity is relevant to preschoolers. So, according to Victor Lowenfield, studies this and came up with the stages of drawing in early childhood. So, the first stage is the scribbling stage. This stage begins with the large zigzag line, which later becomes circular marking. Soon, the curved shape are drawn. The child may start to came. The start scale. The child may start to name his or her drawing towards the end of this stage. Scribblings is essential in the development of hand and finger control and over dexterity. It develops very important hand-eye coordination skills which many children struggle with. It is also helped to develop imagination and independent thinking skills. So now let's proceed to the stage 2, which is the pre-schematic stage. May children include early representation. This also becomes very significant when we discuss about cognitive development. Pre-schematic stage, where circles and lines may be described as a people or object that are physically present in the child's life. It is in this stage that child first makes the connection to communication through their drawings. The drawings show what the child perceives as most important about the object. At this point, adults may be able to recognize the drawing. Children at this stage tend to give the same names to their drawings several times. Drawings usually comprise of a prominent head with basic element, later arms, legs, hand, and even facial features are included. So the last stage is schematic stage. In this schematic stage, more elaborate scenes are depicted. Children usually draw from experience and exposure. Drawing may include houses, trees, the sun and the sky, and people. Initially, they may appear floating in the air, but eventually drawings appear to follow a ground line. So, artwork created during the schematic stage is used as a tool for visual communication. Young artists develop specific schemes to portray objects. Children still tend to be more interested in the process of making art rather than the find products at this stage. So, everyone who observes a preschoolers go through the stages of drawing would surely say one thing, that the preschoolers draw the same drawing maybe 100 times. Repetition in the hallmark of early drawing. Once wonder if the supply of scratch papers, crayons, and pens will ever be enough. Adults should remember to have a neat supply of this, or they will find the preschoolers drawing on the furniture and walls. This affords the preschoolers opportunities to gain mastery of the fine motor skills involved. This is also important to remember is that the preschoolers representation or drawings does not only involve fine motor skills but also cognitive skills. Children's drawing allow us to have a glimpse of how they understand themselves or the world around them. So now, let's proceed to the discussion of Miss Tricia May Ponce.
So good afternoon, I am Tricia May Depaano Ponce and here is my part for the report together with Miss Tiang. In gross motor, 36 to 48 months are equivalent of 3 to 4 years old. In this stage of child developing, they love to do something physical skills. These are the abilities usually acquired during childhood as part of the child's motor learning. By the time they reach 2 years of age, almost all children are able to stand, walk, and run, climbing upstairs, and etc. Examples of gross motor skills include sitting, crawling, running, jumping, throwing balls, and climbing stairs. So for the fine motor skills, These are skills that are those that includes a refined use of the small muscles which control the hand, fingers, and thumb. With the development of these skills, a child is able to complete important skills such as feeding oneself and writing, buttoning, and zippering. Fine motor skills aid in the growth of intelligence and develop continuously throughout stages of human development. For personal and care hygiene, in personal care hygiene for 3 to 4 years old is that washing hands, covering their mouth when they cough, having regular bath or showers, brushing and flossing their teeth. Next is the personal hygiene for 4 to 5 years old. Basic hygiene in the workplace can be put down to 4 different things: personal hygiene, work area cleanliness, clean restroom facilities, and a clean kitchen. The role of caregivers in the growth and development of the preschooler. The environment in which a child grows up is also responsible for sculpting her brain. The growth and development of a child is facilitated by providing care, responsiveness, and stimulation. Parents and caregivers offer their children love, acceptance, appreciation, encouragement, and guidance. They provide the most intimate context for the nurturing and protection of children as they develop their personalities and identities, and also as they mature physically, cognitively, emotionally, and socially. That would be all, ma'am. Thank you.